Ever heard of a pharaoh who didn't build the biggest pyramid but made Egypt shine brighter than ever? Let's talk about Sahure, a king who changed the game around 2487 BCE. His story isn't about massive stone monuments alone. It's about vision, influence, and a legacy that redefined what it meant to be a pharaoh. When Sahure took the throne, the fifth dynasty was just getting started. His predecessors had already laid some serious groundwork. The dynasty's founder, Userkaf, had made the sun god Ra the center of royal worship. Then came Neferkakae, who elevated the pharaoh's status to that of a living god. So, Sahure inherited a kingdom that wasn't just governed by laws and armies, but by powerful beliefs. The sun wasn't just a star in the sky. It was the source of all life and royal authority. The pharaoh wasn't just a ruler. He was the divine link between the heavens and the earth. This spiritual foundation was the launchpad for Sahure's extraordinary reign. He stepped into a world where religion and power were two sides of the same golden coin. One of Sahure's first and most ambitious projects was to build a magnificent sun temple at Abuser. Now, sun temples weren't entirely new, but Sahure took the concept to a whole new level. His temple wasn't just a place of worship. It was an architectural masterpiece and a powerful statement. Imagine a vast open court, dominated by a massive obelisk-like structure called a benben, its tip perhaps gilded to catch the first and last rays of the sun. This was the centerpiece, a symbolic stone ray reaching up to the heavens, connecting the earthly realm directly with the sun god Ra. This temple complex was a hub of activity. It housed priests, astronomers, and administrators who managed vast agricultural lands dedicated to the cult. The daily rituals performed here were believed to sustain the cosmic order and ensure the prosperity of Egypt. By building this grand structure, Sahure wasn't just showing his piety. He was physically cementing his connection to the most powerful deity in the pantheon. Every block of stone, every carved relief, declared that he was Ra's chosen representative on earth. This fusion of religious architecture and royal authority became a hallmark of the fifth dynasty, and Sahure was its master architect. His sun temple wasn't just a building. It was the engine of his divine kingship. But Sahure's vision extended far beyond the banks of the Nile. He understood that true power wasn't just about what you could build, but how far your influence could reach. He launched some of the most ambitious trade expeditions Egypt had ever seen, proving that diplomacy and commerce could be just as mighty as conquest. The reliefs in his mortuary temple tell these amazing stories. We see fleets of Egyptian ships setting sail, their masts high and their crews ready for adventure. These weren't just pleasure cruises. They were state-sponsored missions to distant lands. One of the most famous destinations was the land of Punt, a semi-mythical place somewhere along the Red Sea coast, famous for its exotic goods. Sahure's ships returned laden with myrrh and electrum, a natural alloy of gold and silver. Other expeditions traveled north to the Levant, what is now Lebanon and Syria. They brought back massive logs of cedar wood, a precious resource Egypt lacked. This high-quality timber was essential for building large ships, temple doors, and fine furniture. To the south, missions ventured into Nubia, returning with gold, ivory, and ebony. And from the Sinai Peninsula, miners extracted turquoise and copper. Sahure showed his people and the world that Egypt's greatness wasn't confined by its borders. He projected an image of a wealthy, sophisticated kingdom that could command respect and acquire treasures through peaceful exchange. He was a globalist pharaoh in an ancient world. Sahure's reign was also a golden age for art. He understood that to be seen as a great king, you had to look the part, and your monuments had to reflect that greatness. His mortuary complex at Abuser became a canvas for some of the most refined and detailed art of the Old Kingdom. The sculptors and artists of his time reached new heights of skill. The reliefs carved on the temple walls are a treasure trove of information. They are incredibly lifelike and filled with dynamic action. We see scenes of Sahure hunting in the desert marshes, a classic display of the pharaoh's power over chaos. We see him celebrating religious festivals, reinforcing his role as high priest. But most impressively, we see detailed depictions of his triumphs. One famous relief shows the return of his ships from Asia, with captured foreigners presented to the king. Another depicts a raid against Libyan tribes, with the king shown as a giant, dominant figure. These weren't just decorations. They were propaganda, carefully crafted to celebrate the king, honor the gods, and document the glory of Egypt. The quality of the carving, the attention to detail in the plants, animals, and human figures, set a new standard. For the rest of the fifth dynasty, artists would look back to Sahure's reign as the benchmark of artistic excellence. So, how do we piece together the puzzle of Sahure's reign? He wasn't just a temple builder, a trader, or a patron of the arts. He was a master synthesizer who wove all these threads into a single, compelling vision of kingship. Religion, foreign policy, and art were not separate departments in his government. They were all instruments playing the same symphony of royal power. The Sun Temple at Abuser declared his divine mandate. The ships returning with foreign treasures demonstrated his global reach. And the beautiful reliefs in his tomb immortalized his achievements for all eternity. He created a powerful brand for Egyptian royalty. It was a brand built on divine connection, economic prosperity, and cultural sophistication. He didn't just rule Egypt. He projected its greatness. While later pharaohs like Khufu are remembered for the sheer scale of their pyramids, Sahure's legacy is more subtle but just as profound. He created an image of the pharaoh as the radiant center of a prosperous and well-ordered world, a sun king whose light touched lands far beyond his own. So, why does Sahure matter today, thousands of years later? He teaches us a crucial lesson about power and influence. He demonstrated that true greatness isn't always measured in the height of your buildings, but in the breadth of your vision. He showed that kingship wasn't just something you inherited. It was something you had to perform, project, and export. It had to be seen in grand temples, believed through powerful rituals, and felt through the arrival of exotic goods from distant lands. Sahure didn't build the Great Pyramid of Giza, but in many ways, he built something just as enduring, Egypt's shining image. He crafted a model of pharaonic rule that blended divine authority with worldly sophistication. He established a legacy of cultural and economic influence that would inspire his successors for centuries. So next time you think of the pharaohs, don't just picture giant pyramids. Picture Sahure's ships on the open sea, his sun temple gleaming at dawn, and his artists carving stories in stone. He was the king who made Egypt shine, and his light still reaches us today. Thanks for watching. If you found this journey back to the 5th dynasty fascinating, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the ancient world. See you next time.